Ladies and gentlemen, I fear that the Sulfur Cube will forever be known as the almost mob. Allow me to demonstrate with this very haphazard video. So in front of me there is a chest full of stuff, and I'm just gonna walk towards it like this, and oh no. I'm dead. Alright, what's happened there? You can see over here there's some movement in the ground, and you can tell those are actually sulfur cubes with stone in them. They are not actual blocks. Now this trap is completely resettable. You just grab your buckets and absorb the cubes again. You have some trapdoors in a 2D hole, and you just carefully place them down on the trapdoors. Slowly over there on each one. And there we go. Take your buckets. You'll need a lot of invis pots for this. And now your trap is reset. Now unfortunately, it is not completely reset because block rotation is an issue. So problem number one, sulfur cubes out of buckets spawn in random rotations. Obviously, to combat this is really stupid, but you have to have a live sulfur cube to put a block inside so you can control which way it looks. This is not really the point of the video because this is rather easy to circumvent. The bigger issue is I am actually cheating here. Even though this is doable in survival, I have my particles set to minimal. So by turning this on, the more concerning, the more pressing issue is the particles that are coming out of these blocks. And that is why this is completely useless. But I love this so much, and I'd like to make the case for this to be fixed. So all you need to do is place some trapdoors to allow them to sit there. You can pretty much also move these trapdoors to be like there and there, so it's a lot easier for players to fall through. A fully resettable trap for unsuspecting players. I also found another post on r/PhoenixSC which made a very similar contraption with sand. This is by Ended Random Creation. Because sand has much greater texture noise, it's a lot easier to miss this. But here's another one, and I think you're really gonna like this. So I'm gonna build a pillar of logs. I'm gonna break the bottom one here and then block it off with some blocks over there. And I'm going to flow the water through. And now you'll notice the sulfur cube is snugly placed underneath this block. Gonna replace the water block there with air, and then you'll notice something really interesting happens. The sulfur cube no longer sits directly underneath this block place. You can clearly see where I'm going with this. I'm gonna use once again my invis potion, throw it down, and what do you know? Once you break all of these logs again, you now have a vertical slab, but with potion particles coming out of it. It's so annoying. Okay, I'm gonna break that. Go back to minimal. Got your vertical slab here. You can also just adjust this. You can make another pillar here like this. Do this once again. You're gonna love it once you see just how good this is. All right, let's get our soul soil, make the pathway for it, and then just nudge it across like this. Problem is now you'll have to like really align it. All right, there we go. Okay, now you have your vertical slabs. This is exactly what Jeb meant. Except there is no survival mechanism to hide particles because reasons. You know what's also really good about this? Let's grab some oak planks. If you want to replace the block, you can just right click and oh my god, you now have oak planks vertical slabs. Now you can't really have multiple sulfur cubes here because they'll just push each other out. That's kind of one issue with it. But you know what? With this possibility, I don't think anyone's gonna care. There's also another issue here which I don't think a lot of people might know right now with sulfur cubes. So what I'm gonna do is activate my data pack, and you'll notice some strange things happening. You'll notice that this this place is on fire. The leaf litter is getting darker here. The grass block is getting darker here. The fire is burning. But I'm gonna walk towards this birch log, and you'll see that the birch log all of a sudden has become levitating and is being knocked around by the sheep. This is because before I started, I wanted to mess around with trying to make an entire world sulfur cubes. It's really good right now. It looks really cool. But trust me, it's not. It really breaks everything. So I'm gonna jump in the water right here. So all these grass blocks are now turning to sulfur cubes. I'm gonna jump in the water here. This entire place is now being destroyed. So it's not very viable. I tried to beat the game with this, but you can see it's completely just a mess now. But what I'm gonna do is freeze the game just a little bit here. Notice how some of the sulfur cubes, even though they have blocks inside them, are dying. Sulfur cubes still have the capacity to die through suffocation. Not just burning in lava. I mean, you could do that if you want to get rid of the sulfur cubes without using a bucket. But what does this mean in practice? These will forever just be nudgeable. You can just push them. It becomes nearly impossible to affix an artificial hitbox to them. They can look really pretty, but you can nudge them out of place, which is really, really annoying. You can try a cobweb. So there is a cobweb there now, but it doesn't do a lot of what you might think it could do. This concern becomes a lot more apparent if you try to use custom slabs with them. So if you put a dirt block inside, and now we can use that to our advantage. We can now place a block in this position. We need an actual slab here, and then we can put our dirt block right there. And then splash potion of invis. We now have our custom dirt slab. Once again, we've got to turn particles off, but now you can see that this block is just as beautiful as it could possibly be. If you try to walk into it, it just kind of moves around. It doesn't really move out of place though because it's snug inside this hole. However, it does not have the relevant relevant hitbox that it requires. So you can always try something fancy like putting a block here with a piston, but what's going to end up happening is that this sulfur cube is just going to die. So there isn't a lot you can possibly do to make this interactable. It's just going to end up being a dirt slab for visual effect, which isn't the worst thing. I'm invisible. There is still the visual effect of having a slab made out of dirt, and I think that's pretty cool. Now I could leave it here, but there is an option. I think the only thing that's missing is some way to produce potion effects without those swirls. So what about potent sulfur, which is, as we've just discovered, a block entity. Now we all know what potent sulfur does. It creates a noxious gas. If you jump inside, you get nausea. But is there any possible way to allow potent sulfur to create custom potion effects? So like right-clicking it with a potion, let's say potion of healing. If you right-click it, and if you get inside here like this, you get instant health. If I damage myself a little bit, you can see I'm healing. So it's like a sauna. It's really nice, it's warm, it's healing. So perhaps there's a possibility to create custom potion effects. If you jump in, you could see I had no particles whatsoever from the healing. And by doing so, by putting this underneath the sulfur cube, you can possibly create slabs with no particles. What do you think, Mojang and Phoenix SC viewers? Let me know, I don't know.